The quiet after Christmas always felt like a heavy blanket, but this year it was a shroud. My family, the people I'd poured my life into, had vanished, leaving behind only the echoing silence of a betrayal so profound it hollowed me out. This isn't some dramatic movie plot. It's just the ugly truth of what happens when you believe in unconditional love from those who only offer conditions. A dull ache throbbed behind my eyes, a souvenir from the cheap wine I'd nursed alone on Christmas Eve. The house felt colder than usual, the festive lights I'd strung now mocking me with their unblinking cheer. Sunlight, thin and pale, sliced through the gaps in the blinds. I pushed myself up, the springs of my mattress groaning in protest, a sound that usually blended with the morning chaos of my family. Today, it just hung there, amplified by the stark absence of any other noise. No clatter of pots from the kitchen, no distant rumble of my brother Leo's gaming console, no high-pitched giggles from my niece, Lily, chasing her imaginary monster through the hallway. Even the hum of the refrigerator seemed too loud. "Hello." My voice, raspy from sleep, cracked the silence. It sounded foreign, small. I waited, straining to hear a reply, a rustle, anything. Nothing. My bare feet slapped against the cold hardwood as I padded down the hallway. Leo's door stood ajar, his room a chaotic explosion of clothes and discarded snack wrappers. But the bed was neatly made, a rare sight. Too neatly made. Lily's room, usually a kaleidoscope of toys, was pristine, a single forgotten doll staring blankly from her pillow. My parents' bedroom door was also open. The bed stripped bare, the duvet folded precisely at the foot. A knot tightened in my stomach. I walked into the kitchen, a place usually bustling with post-holiday breakfast preparations. Empty. Not just empty of people, but empty of evidence. No dirty dishes from last night's Christmas dinner, no half-eaten cookies, not even a stray crumb on the counter. The fridge, usually overflowing with leftovers, held only a carton of milk and a forgotten jar of pickles. A sick, creeping dread started to spread through my chest. Then I saw it. A single envelope, stark white against the dark granite of the kitchen island. My name, scrawled in my mother's elegant script. My hands trembled as I picked it up. It felt flimsy, too light to carry the weight of what I already knew it contained. I tore it open. Jenna, it began, no endearment, no dearest. Just my name. We needed a break. A real break. The last few years have been a lot. We've decided to take that trip we always talked about, the one to the Maldives. It came up last minute, a cancellation, and we just couldn't pass it up. Leo and Lily are with us. We know this is sudden, but we felt it was for the best. You've always been so independent, so capable. We knew you'd understand. We'll be back in a few weeks. Don't worry about anything. The bills are set up for autopay. Take care of the house. See you soon. My vision blurred. A real break? We couldn't pass it up? My family. My mother, my father, my brother, my niece. My family. They had gone on a luxury vacation to the Maldives without me. On Christmas night. The night I had cooked for them, cleaned up after them, listened to their endless complaints about the rising cost of living, about their own stresses. The night I had watched Lily's eyes light up as she unwrapped the expensive drone I'd saved for months to buy her. The night I'd tried to coax a smile out of Leo, who'd been sulking about a new game. I crumpled the letter, the paper protesting with a sharp crackle. My breath hitched. It wasn't just the vacation, though that alone felt like a punch to the gut. It was the "you've always been so independent, so capable." That was their code. Their code for, "you're the one who always picks up the slack, so we don't have to worry about you." My phone. I snatched it from the counter, my fingers fumbling. My mother's contact. I pressed call. It rang once, twice, then straight to voicemail. "Hi, you've reached Sarah. I'm probably out enjoying life. Leave a message." Her voice, bubbly and carefree, mocked me. I tried my father. Same result. "Leo. Yo, it's Leo. Leave a message, unless it's about chores, then forget it." A laugh, sharp and humorless, tore from my throat. Chores. Right. I was the chore. The default adult. The responsible one. The one who stayed behind. I walked back to the living room, the Christmas tree still twinkling. Its ornaments, each one a memory, now felt like tiny, glittering shards of glass. A ceramic angel Lily had painted in kindergarten. A tiny wooden sleigh my father had carved when I was little. A faded photo of my mother and me smiling from a trip we took years ago. All of it a lie. The past few years had been a lot. For me. My father lost his job. My mother's health wasn't great. Leo, always a dreamer, never a doer, moved back home after college, bringing Lily with him after his ex-girlfriend left her. I was the one who stepped up. I took on extra shifts at the hospital, picked up freelance medical writing in my spare time. My modest savings account, earmarked for a down payment on my own apartment, slowly dwindled, covering groceries, utility bills, Lily's school supplies, Leo's endless investments, in crypto that always went south. I paid for my mother's new glasses, my father's car repair. I was the family's financial safety net, their emotional punching bag, their live-in maid and nanny. You really think this is okay? I whispered to the empty room, my voice trembling with a rage that felt both cold and burning. You think this is understanding? The silence was my only answer. I needed to talk to someone. Not my family, obviously. My best friend, Maya. She was usually the voice of reason, the one who could cut through my self-pity with a well-aimed jab. I called her. Hey, Mary, wait, what's wrong? Maya's voice, usually bright, softened instantly. They left, I choked out, the words catching in my throat. They all left. To the Maldives. On Christmas night. Without me. A beat of silence. Jenna, what are you talking about? Your parents, Leo, Lily? Yes. All of them. There's a letter. They just went. Said I was so capable. The last words came out as a bitter sneer. No. No way. That's messed up, Jen. Seriously messed up. Maya's voice was low, laced with genuine disbelief. They just packed up and went. No warning. After you cooked Christmas dinner? I guess so. The house is empty. Not a trace. What are you going to do? I don't know, Maya. I honestly don't know. I feel like I've been gut punched. Like a fool. You're not a fool. You're a good person who got taken advantage of. Again, her voice hardened. This is beyond the pale, Jen. This isn't just inconsiderate, it's a calculated move. They knew you wouldn't say no, so they didn't even ask. But why? Why didn't they just tell me they wanted to go? I would have. I don't know, I would have found a way to help them, even if I couldn't go. Because they didn't want you to help them, Jen. They wanted you to stay here and watch the house, probably keep paying their bills, while they lived it up. They wanted a free ride, and you're always the designated driver. Her words, though harsh, resonated with a terrible truth. I had always been the designated driver. The one who paid. The one who sacrificed. The next few days were a blur of disbelief and simmering resentment. I went to work, performed my duties as a nurse, smiled at patients, but inside a storm raged. My colleagues noticed something was off. Rough holiday, Jenna? Mark, a kind-faced orderly, asked one afternoon. You could say that, I mumbled, pushing a medication cart down the hall. Anything I can do? No, Mark, thanks. Just family stuff. Family stuff. The ultimate euphemism for soul-crushing betrayal. I spent my evenings in the quiet house, the silence no longer just empty, but oppressive. I started to notice things. The way the couch sagged where my father always sat. The faint scent of Lily's strawberry shampoo in the bathroom. Leo's discarded gaming headset, still plugged into a charger I'd bought him. Each detail was a tiny barb, twisting deeper into my wound. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe they thought I needed a break from them too. Maybe they thought I wouldn't want to go because of the cost, and they didn't want to burden me. But the letter was clear. They needed a break. They couldn't pass it up. It was always about them. One evening, staring at the pile of bills on the kitchen counter, my father's name on each one, a cold resolve began to set in. Autopay, they said. But whose account was it set to autopay from? Mine. Always mine. I pulled out my laptop. First, I checked my bank account. It was lower than I remembered, but not critically so. Then I went through the family's shared accounts, the ones I'd set up to help manage their finances when my father lost his job. The credit card statements, the utility bills, the mortgage, all were linked to my primary checking account, the one I'd been painstakingly rebuilding. A sharp, almost physical pain lanced through my chest. They hadn't just left me behind. They'd left me to foot the bill. For their luxury vacation, for their house, for their entire lives, while they sipped cocktails on a beach. My hands flew across the keyboard, a furious energy coursing through me. I delinked every single account from mine. Every single one. Mortgage, utilities, credit cards. Everything. I changed the passwords to the online banking portals, effectively locking them out. My heart hammered against my ribs, a primal rhythm of rebellion. Then I called the bank. Hi, I'd like to report some unauthorized transactions on my account. My voice was calm, steady, belying the storm within. I explained in measured tones how my family had gone on vacation, leaving me to pay for their expenses. The bank representative, a young woman named Chloe, listened patiently. So, you're saying your family used your account without your express permission for their personal expenses while you were unaware? Yes, I confirmed, and without any intention of reimbursement. Okay, Ms. Davies, we can put a temporary hold on those transactions and investigate. We'll also need you to file a police report. A police report. Against my own family. The thought made my stomach churn, but the cold fire in my gut burned brighter. They had chosen this. Not me. The next day, I went to the police station. Officer Miller, a man with weary eyes and a kind demeanor, listened to my story. He didn't judge, didn't offer platitudes. He just took notes, his pen scratching rhythmically. So, your parents and brother left on a vacation, leaving you responsible for their household expenses, which they had linked to your personal account without your explicit, ongoing consent. Yes, and they didn't inform me of their trip until after they had left, via a letter. He nodded slowly. This sounds like a civil matter, but given the financial implications and the potential for fraud, we can open a report. It might help with your bank's investigation. I walked out of the station feeling both hollowed out and strangely empowered. I had taken the first step. The first step towards reclaiming my life. I decided to clean out the house. Not just tidy, but deep clean. Purge. I started in my parents' room. Their closet, filled with expensive clothes, some still with tags. My mother's jewelry box, overflowing with trinkets I'd bought her over the years. I packed everything into boxes, labeled them meticulously. Leo's room was next. His gaming setup, his designer sneakers, his collection of limited edition action figures. Lily's room was harder. Her drawings, her tiny shoes, her stuffed animals. I carefully boxed them, a pang of guilt twisting in my chest. Lily was just a child, but she was with them. She was part of their choice. As I packed, I found old photos. Me, a bright-eyed teenager, holding a trophy for a science fair. My mother, beaming. My father, with a proud hand on my shoulder. Leo, a scrawny kid, making a goofy face. We looked like a happy family. A normal family. The illusion shattered around me, piece by painful piece. A week passed. Then another. My family remained silent. No calls, no texts. They were truly enjoying their break. I kept working, kept cleaning. I started looking at apartments online, small studios, just for me. The idea of having my own space, a space not dictated by the needs and demands of others, began to bloom, fragile but persistent. Then the first email arrived. From my mother. Jenna, what is going on? The credit card was declined. And the electric bill is overdue. We're stuck here, and your father is furious. What have you done? I stared at the screen, a slow, triumphant smile spreading across my face. I finally felt a flicker of joy, dark and delicious. I typed a reply. Dear Mother, I received your email. Regarding the credit card and electric bill, I have disconnected my personal accounts from all your family's expenses. As your letter clearly stated, you needed a real break, and I am so capable. I've taken that to heart. I am now taking a break from financially supporting you all. All bills are now in your names. You should have received statements at the house. Perhaps you can pay them from the money you saved by not taking me on your luxury vacation. As for being stuck, I'm sure you'll find a way to manage. You always do. Sincerely, Jenna. I hit send. My finger hovered over the delete button for a moment, a lifetime of ingrained obedience warring with this new, fierce self. But the new self won. The email was sent. The phone rang moments later. My mother's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring. And ring. And ring. It went to voicemail. Jenna, pick up the phone. What is the meaning of this? This is outrageous. Your father is having a fit. We can't even get food. You need to fix this, right now. Her voice was shrill, laced with panic and fury. The sound was music to my ears. Then my father called. Jenna, what in God's name are you doing? This is unacceptable. We are your family. You can't just abandon us like this. We need money. You need to transfer funds immediately. I listened to his message, a cold, hard lump forming in my throat. Abandon them? After they had abandoned me? I called Maya. They're calling. They're freaking out. Good, Maya said, her voice firm. Let them. This is what independent looks like, Jen. This is what capable looks like. You're capable of not being their ATM. It feels exhilarating. And terrifying. That's called freedom, honey. Embrace it. The calls and emails continued for days. From my parents, escalating in anger and desperation. From Leo, who, predictably, tried to play the victim. Jenna, what the hell? I can't even buy a new game. And Lily needs snacks. You're starving us. This is so unfair. I didn't reply to any of them. I changed my phone number. I blocked their emails. I cut off every single line of communication. It was brutal. It felt like severing a limb, but it was a diseased limb, dragging me down. Then the final, desperate call came from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something compelled me. Hello, Jenna? It's Aunt Carol, my mother's sister, a perpetually flustered woman I hadn't spoken to in years. Your mother just called me, sobbing. She said you cut them off, that they're stranded. Is this true? Aunt Carol, I said, my voice calm. They went on a luxury vacation to the Maldives without telling me. They left on Christmas night, leaving a letter. They expected me to pay all their bills and manage their house while they were gone. I simply disconnected my finances from theirs. They are not stranded. They are experiencing the consequences of their choices. A beat of silence. But their family, Jenna. How could you? How could they? I shot back, the control in my voice wavering slightly. How could they do this to me? After everything I've done for them? For years, Aunt Carol. Years. They used me. They saw me as a resource, not a person. And when I stopped being their resource, suddenly I'm the villain. Well, you could have just talked to them. I tried talking to them for years. They never listened. They never cared. This is the only language they understand. But Lily, her voice softened, a manipulative edge. Lily is with them. She is their responsibility. Not mine. Not anymore. I hung up before she could respond. The conversation left me shaking, but also reinforced my decision. They would try to use guilt, shame, family obligation. But I was done. A few weeks later, I received a text from Maya. Guess who's back in town? My heart gave a lurch. I knew. I had been expecting it. I walked into the house, which still felt like a shell. I hadn't moved out yet, but my bags were packed, ready for the studio apartment I'd secured. The furniture, once familiar, now felt alien. There were new mail piles on the counter. Bills, notices, final warnings. The door creaked open. My mother, looking haggard, her face pale. My father, his usual bluster replaced by a defeated slump. Leo, looking furious and sullen. Lily, her eyes wide, clinging to my mother's hand. Jenna, my mother began, her voice tight. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about, I said, my voice flat. You made your choices. I made mine. How could you do this to us? My father roared, finding some of his old fire. We nearly lost everything. We had to borrow money from strangers just to get home. Oh, you had to borrow money? I raised an eyebrow, a cold smile playing on my lips. Imagine that. That's what I've been doing for you for years. Scrimping, saving, sacrificing. While you planned a lavish getaway behind my back. It was a family trip, my mother interjected, her voice rising. Was it, Mother? Because I wasn't there. And I am family. Or at least I thought I was. You made it very clear where I stood. Leo finally spoke up, his voice whiny. You ruined everything, Jenna. Lily was so upset. Lily was upset because you chose to leave her in a foreign country with no money, Leo. Not because of me. You're her father. You're supposed to protect her. Instead, you drag her into your selfish schemes. My gaze hardened. And you, mother, father. You taught him how to be this way. You taught him that someone else will always pick up the pieces. My mother burst into tears. We just needed a break. We were so stressed. And I wasn't. I laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. I was working 2 jobs, paying your bills, taking care of your grandchild while you were stressed. You know what's stressful? Being betrayed by the people you love most. Being treated like an indentured servant instead of a daughter. My father stepped forward, his face flushed. You are our daughter. You owe us. Owe you. My voice was low, dangerous. I owe you nothing. I have given you everything. My time, my money, my emotional energy. And you repaid me with a ticket to the Maldives for yourselves and a bill for me. No, the debt is paid. And then some. Lily, who had been silent, suddenly tugged on my mother's shirt. Aunt Jenna, why are you mad? She whimpered. My heart ached, a sharp, sudden pain. Lily, this wasn't her fault. But I couldn't back down. Not now. Lily, I said, my voice softening just for her. Sometimes adults make bad choices. And those choices have consequences. Your parents made a choice, and now they're dealing with it. It has nothing to do with you, sweetie. My mother pulled Lily closer, a protective gesture that felt ironic given her recent actions. We just want things to go back to normal, my father grumbled. Normal? I scoffed. There is no normal to go back to. Not after this. I'm moving out. I've found an apartment. All your belongings are packed in boxes in the garage. The bills are yours now. The house is yours. Your responsibilities are yours. I'm done. My mother gasped, her eyes wide. Moving out? But where will you go? What about us? I'll go where I want to go, I said, my voice strong, resolute. And us is no longer my problem. You are capable. You are independent. You'll figure it out. I turned to leave, walking towards the front door, away from the wreckage of what I once called family. Jenna, don't you dare walk away from us, my father yelled. I paused, my hand on the doorknob. I looked back at them, standing amidst the chaos of their own making, their faces a mixture of shock, anger, and dawning realization. I'm not walking away from you, I said, my voice clear and steady. I'm walking away from the person I used to be, the one who let you treat her like this. I'm walking towards a life where I am valued, respected, and truly free. And with that, I opened the door and stepped out, not into an empty house, but into a future that finally belonged to me.